Talking about you got this and you got that, and you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'm gonna put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know that I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. We are joined today by one of our only friends, Mr. Jesse Sylvia is in the house. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Buenos dias.
See, no, that's a great outfit you got on. I like that jacket a lot.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why.
Why do I like it so much?
Because you wear jackets like
the
that.
same jacket.
No, that's different.
What are you talking about?
No, it's very similar because
It's a similar.
it's
looking
very
jacket.
similar. Look at the
Okay,
sleeve.
never mind. I'm
It's
crazy.
not.
Let's move on.
It's really not.
What are
It's
you talking about?
That's a varsity jacket.
I
It's
understand.
just like a windbreaker.
But like, look at the sleeves. Look at the stripes on the cuffs. The stripes on the collar. Literally, like very similar.
Yeah.
Especially
do
if
a
you're not
split
like
screen,
up close
Guapo?
looking at it.
Yeah.
Can you set up a split screen that just
Guapo's like, let's just move on. I'm wrong. I'm
Let's
sorry.
go now. I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah,
These are
just shut the fuck up for the rest of the
Yeah,
show,
buddy.
can you please? Jesus,
No,
Guapo.
come on. We got a lot of heavy lifting to take place.
Let's let Landon handle it.
Landon,
Bueller.
are you there? Are you with us? No?
He's
Okay.
too busy counting all his money.
He is counting. Oh, well, I wouldn't say he's counting all of his money.
Some of yours.
No, I mean, these things aren't as profitable as you believe. You know? It's
Yeah.
like,
It's 18x.
yeah, you just don't win that much. And nobody's like, I mean, we're not like taking all of it,
Right, I know.
you know?
I understand.
So
I
he gets
understand.
185K for second place, which was nice. He had a 3-1 chip lead. Heads up. Unfortunate that he didn't win the whole thing. Brandon Wilson, shout out to him. He came back from 3 big blinds to win the whole thing.
I know. Amazing.
Keith Lear got third, and he was playing in Bobby's room prior to going to play this event. And he's like, I think we're gonna play the 10K, and we kind of like chuckled. And he's like, I'll tell you what, I'll crossbook myself at even money. And I'm like, nah, you know, like whatever. Like you might be losing in the field, but can't be by that much. And he's like, I'll buy myself at 1.1, and I almost fucking snatched it. Like I don't know that there's a lot of 1.1s in that field. Maybe I'm a buyer. I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, I'll say.
Would have been expensive.
That's the dream, though, right? You make the final table. You let somebody else run like God, just to knock everybody out. And then once you get heads up, all the luck switches to you, and then you just take the title.
Yeah, Landon did run pretty well.
He ran great until he got heads up.
Yeah. I guess I wasn't watching it. Like, I read the updates, and it looked like he like call folded a couple times. Did he would just like didn't have it?
Right.
I'm asking. Like
I didn't see every hand,
okay,
but
okay.
just you mean heads up?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, he had to like. I mean, what's his name that won? Mike.
Brandon Wilson.
Brandon. Yeah, Brandon Wilson. He like triple barrel bluffed, and Landon had like bottom pair and folded.
Okay.
So I think he had 6 high or
So
something.
he got.
Yeah, I mean, but it was it was a good play. Like he had 6 high, he probably had to shove pot size shove, and Landon's with bottom pair and snap folded.
Did Landon pick up some equity on the turn or just called twice with bottom
I
pair?
think he called twice with bottom pair.
Fair.
I'm not 100% sure. Is this the hand?
No, this is his bust out hand, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
Z flip.
Yeah,
He actually was flipping for the win, right, with Ace King,
I
He
missed
lost.
that
he
one.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah, he had
he-
ace king versus threes.
and he lost that one.
Lost,
And that
and
was
then
for
he
the,
had
that was for
threes.
the win.
Wow, just
This time he loses.
the painful irony of losing ace king to threes and then
And then
losing
getting
threes
threes
to
to-
jack 10.
Yeah,
It hurts, guys. It hurts. You
I
know,
mean, yeah,
70K heads up. No big deal.
right. But like the way he also had, he was down to 700K. I'm not sure how many blinds that was, but it wasn't a lot. It might have been like last in chips with like 5 or 6 left, and then he caught fire, doubled up, and then
Nature of the beast.
yeah,
No one has a lot
Right.
ever at these final tables. Like 30. Why don't you play these, Jesse? You're a tournament grinder.
I think I might soon.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna jump back in there. I've been feeling tournaments lately.
Mm.
I might have to play a couple online tournaments.
Every time I get the
itch.
itch to play one of these, I watch the final table and I'm just like, I have zero interest in this.
See, the final tables get me fired up because I start to think that these high rollers are like incredibly tough, where everyone's studying really hard and stuff, and then I just still see a number of ICM mistakes where I'm like, I think that's a mistake, and then I look it up and it is, and it gives me that hope that like the game's still
Right.
very beatable.
I
You
still
should-
feel like there's very small edges in these PokerGo.
That's what I was going to say. Is you should take the next step and quantify how many dollars that mistake is making you.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I don't make mistakes.
Right, yeah,
too,
you're not
so it's
sure.
like I wouldn't make that mistake, but I might make a different one. But
That-
it just it at least, like, if you're sitting there like leaving these guys like on a pedestal or in your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to
It's
Matusow,
helpful.
man. He said, I'm not playing those PokerGo tournaments. I know where my edge is, and it's not there.
I'm not going to.
Where's his edge?
Yeah.
Do you say where it is?
Yeah, it's in the
08?
1500 at the World Series.
Yeah. That I agree with.
I mean, that's yeah, that's that's a good tournament, I bet.
Right. And probably the private cash games he plays in probably has an edge there as well.
Sure.
No, I'm not sure. I don't know. I've played a lot of No Limit with Mikey. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? But like, like you said, as long as the other 6 players at the table are worse than you, then you have an edge. Actually, no, it doesn't have to be all 6.
Yeah.
Just a couple of them.
It
You know
depends how you define worse, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Everything that I thought was good for getting yourself into private games, if Mike's playing private games, like, it's all out the window. Like, Mike's clearly sitting there and like spouting conspiracy theories and talking about how good he plays and how bad he runs, which is like what you're told not to do.
Maybe he doesn't
table.
do that. Maybe he doesn't do that at the private games.
I mean, if he does and he gets in, like, more power to him.
Yeah.
I'm not hating on
Yeah,
him,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like, I was just wrong. If that's true and he's playing big private games, like, I was just wrong about everything I was told or thought was
Mhm.
good for.
Well, they're not big and they're on the app. So a lot of that stuff gets
Oh,
kind of
okay.
vetted.
Mm.
Yeah.
Tough
Yeah,
to really,
There's probably not a chat box.
even if there is, really tough to get a whole conspiracy theory into a few lines of online chat.
Yeah.
Unless, he has just Chat GPT running in the background and he's copying and pasting while he's folding hands.
Smart.
What an experience that would be. You're just like posting 10,000 word essays in the chat box about how 9/11 was all government plant, and we're just, you guys gotta open your eyes, sheeple.
I wonder where he is on the whole 9/11 conspiracy.
The wrong side, I assume.
I don't know. I mean, it's I don't think he picked the lane, right? And I don't know if that's in his lane.
Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of conspiracies, yesterday we took off in honor of the
Storming of the Capitol?
the inauguration / storming of the Capitol anniversary.
Right. Well, it wasn't the inauguration, but
Or not the inauguration.
it's where they certify the
confirm
votes.
it. Yeah.
It's just
Apparently, there was like a big market on Poly that it wouldn't happen yesterday.
really. What was it? It had to be like
You-
96% that it would.
You could buy it at 2 cents. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like you can scrape up a couple.
I think people
couple
were
points if
betting.
you want
I think people were betting on the weather.
Oh,
Because like AC currently is under a state of emergency.
yeah.
I don't know how
It would
much
have
that
to be
affected DC.
pretty bad for them to postpone it. I think.
Is it an in-person act?
Yes.
Okay.
All the senators, all the House of Representatives go and convene, and then they count up all the votes, and then the irony is that the vice president is the one who obviously doesn't remember with Mike Pence how
Right.
they were trying to get Mike Pence not to certify the election. Well, this time it was Kamala,
Right.
so Kamala had to do it as she was the loser.
Right.
That's kind of amazing to have the
yeah.
actual person you're running
But you know
against.
what? Hey, look at this. She did it. She didn't have any, wasn't spotting any conspiracies about the election was stolen. She just did her job. There was nobody storming the Capitol. Weird.
Well, is there an alternative?
There was last time.
Yeah, maybe that's what people were betting on. That
The Dems were gonna.
she was just gonna be so salty.
All the snowflakes were gonna storm the Capitol. Wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah,
They're just out there with their.
I like
pink
a good
hats.
50 to 1 shot, man.
Yeah.
I mean, sign me up.
You do like a good long shot.
I would have.
I've seen your Weekend Warrior.
If I
picks.
could have put that in as my Weekend Warrior pick, I think I might have gone that route.
It's probably more likely to happen than the one you picked.
Fuck, I was close, man.
You were not close.
The script was off, but like,
close.
what are you talking about? All I needed was the Steelers to win the game. So if they had converted the field goal that final drive, I would have only missed the Warren touchdown.
And the Steelers winning.
No, if they had converted the field goal.
Sorry, right.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sick.
Berkey, have you been tracking which picks we would have had every week had Washington?
Yes,
not
we would
lost
have
that
made
game?
it. We would have made it.
What's that?
We would have made it. It
We're
would
still in?
Well,
in
it's over
theory?
now. It ended this weekend.
We
but
would have made the chop.
We would have made the chop. It's just a matter of whether or not we would have picked Atlanta the final week, who lost. But even if you had picked Atlanta, here's the thing. This is why I don't think we would have picked Atlanta, because there were still 18 people left. So hedging the final week was almost an impossibility for any reasonable amount of money. And if you took Atlanta, they were for sure the consensus pick. Atlanta and Tampa Bay were going to be the majority of the pool. It was 7 and 5.
Would we have had Tampa Bay left?
I think we would have taken them a week prior.
Okay, I was gonna say because Tampa Bay was obviously
They were mapped
over Atlanta.
They were mapped. No, Atlanta.
What was Atlanta favored by? Tampa Bay was 14.5-point favorite.
Oh, okay, then yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Did I see
think
that
Atlanta
right?
was
Only
like
8
9.
teams made it.
8 teams chopped.
So there was
Wow.
18 going into the last week, and only 8 survived.
Correct.
And then they chopped the prize pool.
Yeah. So Atlanta lost, and somebody else that 3 people were on lost. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, the reason I think we would not have been on Atlanta is because it was clear that they were going to be consensus pick alongside Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those situations where theoretically, by being contrarian, you could scoop the pool. So like you're risking, 800,000 or 700,000 or something like that to potentially win 14 million. And that alone forces you to go contrarian. So one person took the Cardinals, and this was genius because when
they
it all
crushed, right?
No, well, yeah, they ended up crushing. It was close until like the last couple of minutes, but they ended up winning by 2 scores.
Okay.
But the reason why this was genius is because it was the only 4:00 game that anybody picked.
Oh,
So
you could hedge.
So once they had the
that's
results of all the afternoon games, they actually could lay off,
Right.
where no one else had that ability.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the biggest favorites were on Saturday, but nobody had them available any longer in Baltimore, and or I guess not. Baltimore was just the biggest favorite. They were like a 20-point favorite or something.
One of the biggest of all time, I think.
Yeah, in Cleveland's year, the season where Cleveland went 0-16, they were never a 20-point dog. How insane is that?
Yeah.
You know what's really insane? Missing 2 extra kicks
Extra
in
points.
the same game. Extra
cost
points.
us.
Sorry, I'm a little tired.
I mean, to be fair, it wasn't just us that got eliminated that week, right? It was like 40 other teams, or 30 other teams, something like that. So who knows
how it would have.
Some percentage of that group had a similar path as us,
Right.
But I'm still mad, Berkey.
Well, I have no feelings, but it does make me reconsider the contest as a whole, and I think this is like a pretty sound mathematical idea that I would need to flesh out a little bit further. But I think that once you get to like 14,000 entries, it's kind of like the birthday problem, where if you're in a room, I can't remember what the critical number is. Maybe it's like 100 or something like that.
I think it's even less.
No, it's like
50.
20.
Okay, yeah,
It's something like I think it's in the 20s. If there's like 20 people in a room, it's more likely that 2 of them will have a birthday, similar birthday than not.
Right, but
Something
I think if it's like 100
Where it's almost a
It's
certainty.
almost a certainty.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like 98% or
Right,
something like
okay,
that.
yeah.
And I'm wondering, or at least I feel pretty confidently that like once you get to 14,000, it's a rarity for it not to finish in double digits.
You know, if you were in the
final
same
week.
room with Oprah Winfrey, you'd have the same
birthday.
Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, I mean, if you go into the contest understanding that once there are a certain number of entries, there's going to be double-digit teams left the final week, I think that changes your strategy drastically throughout the course of the season. Now, I think now going contrarian, like basically, I think we trying to prioritize quote unquote winning the whole thing over value. Betting against the population. You still need to do it, of course, because the way that the thing matriculates down to winners is that big favorites get upset, but it's far less of a priority now.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I don't
like calculating week over week EV is far less of a priority now.
Like I like this, like going contrarian throughout the, like you can't control how many people are going to make it. No matter where you go contrarian or you don't, you can't control how many people are going to make it at the end, right?
Well, it's not. It's
So,
not
like, why-
control.
No, I know, but
It's not controlling. It's following.
it's when that happens, you're in
It's
the right
following the
spot.
iterations,
Yeah.
right? All outcomes are possibilities,
Right. So when the favorable outcome, you want to be in the path of
Right.
of the outcome that happens, like when there is only two.
If you picked a dog,
I guess that makes
if you
sense.
picked a dog 20
Haven't thought
weeks
about
in a row,
Mhm.
it's extremely unlikely you make the finals. But
Right.
the times that you make the finals, you might be there in a pool of like 3. You know, it's like the one-off iteration that is the least predictable,
Right.
But it is a potential outcome.
because you're picking these dogs and they're beating teams that are
Correct.
where
Yeah.
everyone's on the other side.
Yeah, like every time you win, the pool gets pared down by
lot
a
more.
large chunk, as
Right.
opposed to if you were on the inverse side
Yeah.
and you won.
Yeah. So you have to weigh the you have to weigh kind of like the risk reward.
Which is what the EV calculation week over week does, but that gets diluted now whenever you kind of understand that you're not playing for a $15 million prize, but instead you're playing for a fraction of a $15 million prize.
Yeah.
Right? Like we kind of speculated like what would happen or at what point will we chop, but if it's just baked in that you should expect on average 5 people to finish undefeated, or 8 people or 10 people or 12 people, whatever the outcome is of 14,000 people entering.
Does Circa facilitate the chop?
Well, when it ends,
When it ends, they do. I'm saying, like, say 18 people wanted
yes,
to
they
chop.
would facilitate.
And how does that work? Like, you just all, is there like a button on the app where you can just all click chop?
No, it's a good question.
They
I'm not
should
sure.
do that. They should just click
Yeah.
they should have a button on there, and then once everybody clicks yes, like, you know, as long
I
as
like
there's
that, yeah.
there's 100 people, 100% of the people click yes, then it just chops.
Somebody just has the button after week 1.
yeah.
It's like,
just
I
keep
made like
hitting it every week.
30% ROI.
That was me when I would make final tables on stars. I would make them and I would just snap click ready to discuss.
Let's go.
Let's get this
Chop
fucking
this
thing
baby
over
up. Yeah.
with.
Yeah, you've never seen you like variance very much, Berkey.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, you did the hard part to get there, Jesse. You know, like let's
It's true.
take our fucking payday.
That was a long road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, ironically, we didn't even make it as far this year as we did the previous year. We busted on Thanksgiving the previous year, so we made it 1 week fewer.
Yeah.
This
you're right.
season.
Wow. You're right.
But we made it, you know, like 60% deeper into the prize pool.
Exactly.
Maybe
yeah.
further.
So it felt like we were closer.
We were down to the final 1% as opposed to the final 10%.
Felt like we were closer, but we weren't closer because you still have to get to the end to win, basically.
Yeah, the projection that we had that it would end before Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
or sorry, before Christmas was
It's wild
just
because
way off.
next year there might be 20,000 entries.
Right, which now,
Which now maybe you're looking at like 25 people coming down to the end, coming into the last week.
maybe more.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that projection was wrong actually makes some sense if you think about all the games where some big favorites almost lost, but then just something went awry. You need like 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah,
to take out a huge chunk.
There
of the
was
pool.
definitely a few iterations where it would end before Christmas or end on Christmas or whatever. But I think the probabilities of that being the case are significantly lower
It's funny
than
that
we estimated.
We kind of never really took that into account. That like, oh, because we thought like, wow, look, this is way ahead of schedule. But at the same time, it's like, look how many people are in this. It's actually probably more likely that it's not going to finish before than it was prior years, even though we were ahead.
It grew
40%.
It grew 40% from the year prior,
right?
Which we totally overestimated. We're going to lose Jesse here very shortly.
Very shortly.
Unfortunately, which is even more tilting because I just got a message that my game is canceled. So we could have done this at a much more convenient time to you.
Oh man,
Let's just come back.
We'll just roll it right back. What before we lose you? What's been going on? How was your holidays?
Holidays are great. We laid pretty low, and that was nice.
Are you a Christmas lights guy, Jess?
I'm not, but Ashley and her grandma are. So
by
we have-
proxy.
we have 3 trees in our house right now.
3
Christmas trees.
When did they
They're
come
not
down?
big trees, but we have 3 of them.
When
I
did they come
was
down?
speaking-
What's that?
When do they come down?
I don't know.
Are they real or fake?
I would have thought January 6th some people would come in and storm the
Funny enough,
castle.
January 6th is the day you're supposed to take it down.
Is it?
Yeah. Like,
That's
like,
fair.
Who makes this decision?
God.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
It's like, no, I think January 6th is, I forget what actual, like, holy day it is in the Catholic religion. And then that's like the day you're supposed to like move on from Christmas and take the decorations down.
Right.
How are your guys' holidays?
Good. Yeah. Also laid low, which is nice. We
It
never do
is.
anything for New Year's. Like we just chill at the house and, watch Andy Cohen on CNN.
They do the East Coast New Year's. They're in bed by
Definitely do the
9:30.
East Coast New Year's. Don't worry, we're up at midnight because our neighbors put on a fireworks show like none other. I mean, it's better than Disney. I'm telling you, it's unreal.
How do your dogs feel about the fireworks?
They actually, it's funny. They are not scared at all. They actually get excited. They're
Yeah.
running around, going crazy. Like they love to go outside, bark at them. They're not scared at all, and it's it keeps them moving pretty. They get the zoomies for a while, and then they sleep the whole day next day.
I gambled a lot.
Did
of
you?
course.
I gambled a
You're talking
lot.
about New Year's or in general?
In general,
Yeah.
I played so much.
Yeah.
My December was. I came into December off the back end of a 700K downswing over the course of like 3 months. Then I won 1.5 straight, and then I lost 700K all before January 1st.
You're sick, man.
You are sick, man.
It's been a wild ride.
You're
I'm only
sick,
playing
man.
1-2. I was 426,000 one day playing 1-2. That's hard.
There were actually reverberations of that loss throughout the Bellagio.
Yeah,
I felt it.
yeah, I understand. I felt it too,
I bet you.
right here in my heart.
You need me sweating more because when I was sweating via the commentary booth, you were running great.
Yeah,
And then as soon as I was gone,
yeah, that's accurate. Man,
Yeah.
that was a good time. It was nice to run good.
that
on
was
TV.
fun. That was fun to watch.
It was fun to watch. I saw Garrett made a reappearance into the live realm. He played Bally.
Oh, really?
A week ago or so. They just put together like the fucking juiciest lineup imaginable, with like him, Phil Locke, Masato, and 5 guys you'd love to just go fling poo with. Playing 1-2, he just wins $250,000.
Where is this?
Welcome back, Commerce, live at the Commerce.
Okay.
Yeah.
LA just seems to find guys who have never even learned the rules to poker and have millions of dollars that they just don't want.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, David's a fucking all-timer. I don't know if you've ever had the chance to play with him, but like, I think he's from Texas. He is just never-ending action. I watched like the first hour or so last night, and he managed to check his bottom pair 4 or 5 times, blast off on the turn, and then just give up on the river, and was just like against top pair every single time. I mean, he's a little unlucky here.
Can't improve at all.
Like these guys don't fucking c-bet worse than top pair.
No.
He can't ever just suck out on someone. But yeah, man, like just wild action. A lot of the same regs that you always see there. Eric Hicks was there. You see JD in that shot. David's an all-timer. Han, who I think you know. Han.
I play with Han. Yeah,
he's fun.
Han's great.
Han's a lot of fun. He's from
I've
Seattle.
actually drank after playing with Han, and he drank me under the table, which is like the guy. I mean, he looks like he weighs like 98 pounds.
Yeah,
it's really impressive.
Yeah. Fuck around and find out. But yeah, it was good to see him back. Obviously, we won't see him again for another year now that he's $250,000 richer.
Yep.
Go back into hibernation, be daddy, go hike in the mountains with the kid. It's a nice life. It's a nice. Man, I wish I could do that. That's what I should have done. Should have played the WPT stream, win 750, and say, "I'll see you guys next December." That's just it for me.
It's not in you, Berkey.
No,
you could never do that.
So you don't. That's
just gamble on like running hot for 8 hours a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. You pull out 1 8-hour sample of play per year and just hope that that's enough to survive off of.
Hopefully it's the biggest game you play of the year.
Well, it has to be.
Yeah, it would better
It just has to be. There's no getting around it.
All right, I got to roll.
Yeah, you're out.
Take care, guys.
See you
Nice
later,
seeing you,
Jess. Thanks for
Jesse.
stopping in.
Nice seeing you guys. I'll see you soon.
I'll see you at the Bellagio.
See you at the Bellagio.
Main clicking your life away.
Burke, you is that a Barry Bonds shirt you got on there? What is that? Who is that?
No, I don't think it's anyone in particular.
Oh, okay.
I think it's.
I just assume it's Bonds. You love Bonds.
I do love Bonds, but this is a Scotch and soda shirt.
Okay.
You looks like.
I think what you're trying to say is you're ready for baseball season.
Well,
you are ready for another Pittsburgh sports team to disappoint you.
I haven't given up on the Steelers yet.
I mean, I haven't fully given up.
I will say that.
Man, do they look down bad.
I will say that this past week is the most disgusted I've been with Yinzers in my entire 42 years on this earth.
Go on.
I can't. I've muted like 10 Pittsburgh pundits this week on Twitter. It's just like embarrassing.
They're going to go in and beat Baltimore, aren't they?
Of course they are. Of course they are. It's going to be 12 inches of snow.
9.5 point favorite, or 9.5 point dogs. Give me the 9.5, baby.
Give me the 9. Like they're a 10-point dog on the road. Sure, fine. Baltimore looks good, but like Zay Flowers is almost certainly out. They're going to get a foot of fucking snow. It's Najee time. They've stacked up
Lamar's history with the Steelers.
They stack up really well against
God the Cope.
Against like
God the Cope we have.
I'd rather hear the Cope than the fucking other side of it. Yinzers are so insufferable, man. It's just like they're running Tomlin out of town every goddamn time.
Mediocre
like,
Mike.
Hey, maybe he's mediocre because we never have to fucking rebuild. Like what would you rather have? These long spells of half a decade plus, finishing in the basement, and then making a title run for a couple seasons like most every other franchise in the NFL, or being in competition for the division year in and year out, always having yourself in a position to make the playoffs and then potentially make a run. Yes, you're going to lose a lot. It's a fucking tournament. Like this is I had this conversation at the table yesterday, and honestly, I really hope it set in a little bit because we have some of the most insufferable losers in the Bellagio game.
We just been spoiled, Burke.
I don't find it as being spoiled. I find it as being like the proper approach to running an organization in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like it's a parity-driven league, and we're the one team that doesn't fucking suffer from it.
Yeah.
And you know what? You get on the other side of it, the most championships of all time.
Look at the Patriots. They won 3 games this year.
They might not win another title in our lifetime.
That's not true.
I don't think it's. Would you have said the same thing about San Francisco?
What?
Like if in 1995 I said San Francisco might not win another title in our lifetime, you would have said that's not true.
Right.
Okay.
I still think that's not true.
I also still think that's not true, but they've only had one legit opportunity, 2 legit opportunities?
A few.
Sure. But,
they've been pretty good the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Look, I'm using them as a point of reference of saying like they've gotten there and still haven't won a title.
Yeah. Now, if you want to talk about the Jets,
or like Dallas,
the Jets will never win.
Dallas is like another good example, right? Like you would have never said in the '90s Dallas won't win another title in our lifetime.
Yeah.
They haven't made it out of the first round of the playoffs since then.
Right. Well, yeah.
So it's like, it's very feasible. People underestimate how much like once in a generation talent matters. You get a guy like Tom Brady, you win fucking 6 Super Bowls.
Right.
You get a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, you go to 3 Super Bowls.
Right.
It's really fucking hard to just plug and play Russell Wilson or Kenny Pickett or fucking,
it almost
Mitch
never,
Trubisky and expect the Super Bowl. These teams made the playoffs.
You need a very good franchise.
They made the fucking playoffs with Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett at the helm. In the North.
How'd they do that?
In the North. They went 5-1 with Little Hands Pickett last year. In the North. Like, what are we doing here? I said this at the table yesterday. Like, we have some of the most insufferable losers at Bellagio I've ever met in my entire life. They bemoan every single... Even hands that they're not in, that they, like, fold the flop and would have made the nuts by the end. It's just never-ending bemoaning and funeraling their hand. And I go, hey, you got... And it's so much, like... It's so much projection and cope, too, where it's like, I pay a lot because that's the nature of the fucking game. Like, you have a losing hand that's a really good hand, you fucking pay the winning hand. That's the nature. It's an exchange, You want to get paid when you have a good hand, you pay someone when they have a good hand. Right. That's the fucking nature of the game. And I get shit on. So, fucking Berkey, he never folds. He always fucking pays off. He's a calling station, blah, 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 blah. I go, hey, you know how this game works? There's a winning hand and a losing hand every single time that the fucking cards are dealt. Every time you make it to the river, one person has a winner and one person has a loser. It's not meant to just go check, bet, fold 100% of the time. Well, you want to fucking play perfectly?
And you're saying this is an analogy for the NFL?
Yes. It's an analogy for fucking yinzers out there that don't understand that getting into the tournament year after year after year after year is going to produce more fucking results than missing the playoffs for a decade and then making it with a top 5 team.
Yeah, it's just that, like,
ask the Lions.
For 20 years, the Steelers would they would make the playoffs, and you would be like, they could win it all this year. Not
20 years.
Almost Ben's entire career.
Yeah.
Except for his last couple years, right? But since his last couple years until now,
it's like 13 or 14 years.
Yeah. So, but like for the last, I don't know, 7 or 8, like it was like we limped into the playoffs and we knew we had no shot, right? Yeah. And it's just and like people are sick of that. They're like, I'm tired of feeling like we have no chance. Like, what's the point?
Were they running
playoffs?
Were they running Chuck Noll out?
No chance to win this.
Were they running Chuck Noll out in the 80s after winning 4 fucking Super Bowls?
They might have been. I don't know.
It doesn't matter whether they were or they weren't. It's an insane proposition. Mm-hmm. The guy won 4 Super Bowls with generational talent, and then he was handed Mark Malone and Bubby Brister for a fucking decade.
But like he won 4. That's right. He won 4 Super Bowls, Burke. Tomlin won. He won one. He won one. And he won one. It was like his first year when like it was, or not his first year, maybe his second year.
No, it was his first year.
Was it first year?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if it was his first or second year. It was his first?
It was his first.
Yeah, it was like, it was like he inherited a really, really good team.
Right, but he also went back and then 3 years later or 2 years later, whatever, right. And they lost to the Packers, and that's unfortunate. And like, you can
they haven't
point
been back since.
You can point to the Killer B era where it's like they probably should have made more Super Bowls or won more Super Bowls during that time, but they fucking had Brady to deal with. It wasn't like they were missing the Super Bowl, right. And the Ravens and the fucking Jets and the fucking anyone else in the league. No, they were missing the Super Bowl and the Patriots were going.
Right.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was the end. Like we people so quickly forget that they lost out on home field advantage because of that stupid fucking rule where I can't remember the tight end at the time. I keep wanting to say Brady, but that's not
Heath
right.
Miller?
No,
Wait.
no. It was whoever came right after Heath. Anyway, Jesse James. The Jesse James rule, where he catches the ball at the 3, turns, runs, extends, and as he crosses the goal line, hits the ground and the ball pops out and they call it a fumble.
Right.
instead of a fucking touchdown.
Right.
Which is asinine and insane. And because of that, they lose to the Patriots that game. They lose home field advantage. They have to go to Foxborough, and they fucking don't make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, they probably would have just lost at home to the.
Maybe the Patriots don't make it. They don't get home field throughout. Who knows? But the point is that, like, sure.
Nice job there, Guap. Bringing that.
Found that quick.
Yeah, real quick.
Found that real quick. But, like, you know, the point of the matter, or the fact of the matter is that it could have gone a lot of different ways. There's a ton of variance involved in sports, and people just don't want to acknowledge it. Like, oh man, Mike Tomlin's regarded as like a Hall of Fame coach and one of the most revered guys in the entire NFL.
I'm like kind of playing devil's advocate here.
I get it.
Yeah, like I love Tomlin. I don't want him run out of town. Like who's going to replace him, right? Like he's one of the best coaches in the league. So like I'm not looking to like replace Tomlin, but I'm telling you why people are frustrated and why you read that and you're just like, you know,
God,
how is that not a touchdown? Jesus Christ!
Can you guys?
Oh, I'm sorry. They didn't call this a fumble.
What's happening here?
So
Is it 'cause his knee was
called
down?
it
they called this an incomplete pass because you see when he hits the ground there, it wobbles.
Right.
So now in today's NFL, the second you break the goal line,
it's a touchdown.
It's a touchdown. You don't have to complete the catch. Like the ground cannot cause a fumble.
Yeah.
They've changed that rule since.
Right.
And there was another touchdown that season. I think it was Calvin Johnson. He caught the ball in the end zone, and I can't remember if he caught it with two hands or one hand, but whatever it was, his momentum took him to the ground with one hand, and he like placed the ball on the ground as he was completing the catch. Incomplete.
Yeah. And you know another rule they're gonna change? I bet it's the you have to get both feet in bounds instead of two. Like we're like Pickens got 1 foot down twice. And that happened to the Steelers twice this year.
Oh man, my memory is so good.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, they call this an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
Wow, sick. I mean,
that's so ridiculous.
So sick.
But it's so maybe I'm having a.
And the reason it's incomplete is because he didn't put his other hand on the ball.
He didn't complete like the catch all the way to the ground.
The catch to the ground. Yeah. Maybe my memory is conflating two separate scenarios, but I thought there was one where a guy like windmilled the ball to the ground and they called it incomplete. Maybe it was
that could be
Nuke. What's his face? Hopkins. But anyway, I agree with you. Yeah. There was a catch where Pickens like got his left foot in twice. He double tapped his left foot, and it was a scenario where like he was parallel, so the right foot like could never physically contact the ground, and they called it incomplete because has to be two actual feet. Not
that's what they're saying. They're like, what if you caught the ball at the 50-yard line and then you hopped on one leg all the way to the one and got knocked out of bounds? Right. That's an incomplete pass.
Right. Yeah.
So like,
there's a lot of illogical.
Yeah.
You know what they need?
Here's what happens. The Steelers, something happens, right? They get screwed, and then the
NFL changes it. Yeah. You know what they need? They need Matt Savage. They need Matt Savage up there running the rules committee.
Right. Somebody
just a TDA summit. Yeah, TDA summit every 2 years. Get rid of the cell phones.
Right.
Okay. First and foremost, all the technology gone. Okay. No more earpieces in the helmet. No more fucking Microsoft. What did they use? It's so funny that they did a deal with Microsoft instead of Apple.
Is it called Edge?
Here's the problem for Microsoft. I don't know.
Called, yeah. Right.
Your branding
whatever
is not
their
going
tablet
well.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't use iPads.
Get them off. Yeah. Get them off the sidelines. Go back to faxing the fucking images down to the sideline. You see the quarterbacks like holding up pictures. Yeah, no more.
The best was when Cowher grabbed the fax.
Oh yeah, stuffed it in the referee's pocket.
Yeah. Tell him he was wrong.
God, sports, man, they're so fucking great.
They are, especially Pittsburgh sports. I know everybody loves to hear about the Pittsburgh sports.
Whatever. It's relevant. No, I don't really care. I actually do think that the game is going to be very competitive this weekend.
It always is. I mean, I wouldn't say always is, but like, AFC North games, especially playoff games, two divisional foes, they're going to play tough against each other.
What week is the Super Bowl?
February, I think Valentine's week.
Something like that. Yeah.
It is second weekend in February, so 15th, yeah.
Okay.
Or
so
sorry,
we,
16th.
So we still have 4 more weeks of betting in the Weekend Warrior.
At least more, right?
I got time to win this thing.
Divisional round.
Because our last bet
whatever
will
you
be
call
the
it.
Super Bowl, right? Super Bowl weekend.
Yep.
It's 3 weeks of playoffs and then the Super Bowl. Is that right? Or 4 weeks of playoffs and the Super Bowl?
There's 3 weeks.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. Yeah, you're right. Four more weeks, but there's a down week between the playoffs and the Super Bowl.
Do we have to bet on that?
I guess we take that week off.
Oh, we don't get to bet that week?
I mean,
Bubba's like, why does it have to be football?
There's a UFC fight that weekend.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
I don't really want to bet on the NBA, and I guess I could bet NHL.
Hey man, I got to bet NFL stuff.
Go Pens.
Or college football.
Yeah.
Go Bulls. Buffalo Bulls won this weekend.
When's the championship for
College?
Yeah, college. Is that
2 weeks?
That might be the week in between?
No. It's in 2 weeks.
Which would be the week in between? Oh no.
No.
What am I thinking?
Not even close.
I'm getting my Februarys and my Januarys confused.
Yeah, we have 5 weeks until or the Super Bowl is 5 weeks away.
Right.
Penn State might make the championship.
They might. They got to beat Notre Dame. I think they're like 2-point underdogs, 2 or 3.
I think they can beat Notre Dame. I think they might get dog walked by Ohio State.
Hopefully Texas will.
Maybe Texas. Did you hear or did you see the controversy around the Arizona State Texas finale?
No.
So in regulation, do you remember when Texas blocked the field goal?
Texas blocked the field goal.
Yeah, it was maybe with like 5 minutes or maybe less, like 2 minutes left in the game. Arizona lined up to kick a field goal. Texas blocked it.
I don't think so.
Okay, so Texas blocks a field goal with a few minutes left in the game during regulation.
Are you sure?
Yes. They block an Arizona State field goal, but it bounces in the end zone. So here you'll see. No, this is Texas kicking a field goal. It was Arizona State kicking, and they got the field goal blocked. It bounces in the end zone and goes through the upright. Technically, that's a live ball.
Okay, I watched this game. What the fuck are you talking about?
You'll see. Find it.
I have no. I watched this whole game because I was sweating it because it was part of my parlay.
Yeah.
They blocked the field goal. This is 2 minutes left to go in the game.
No, I don't know the exact amount of time left.
Oh,
It was just in regulation.
Oh, it might have been the first half.
Oh, maybe. I guess I didn't look that closely.
Yeah,
at the video
I watched like the whole second half pretty closely. I don't recall. That
anyway,
at all.
Texas blocked a field goal that it was partially blocked. It bounces in the end zone, goes through the uprights. Technically, that's a live ball and a good field goal.
Really?
Yeah. And so now Arizona State's protesting, saying that they deserve the win and to advance based off of the fact that they would have had an additional 3
Good
points
luck
out.
with that.
Well, here's the other caveat. In college football, it's not like the NFL where
Okay, there it is.
There it is.
Wow. I missed that. Completely missed that.
Yeah. Pretty sick. So yeah, I don't know what juncture of the game this was, but in college football, it's not like the NFL where, winners advance or whatever. It's the committee that decides who plays who. So technically, if they wanted to just put Arizona State in the semifinals, they could.
Really?
There's no like governing body to stop them. However, I would make the opposite argument. Whereas like they might acknowledge that Arizona State got the win over Texas, but if it comes down to the committee's choice,
they're gonna take
Texas all fucking day.
Better program.
So it's gonna be much ado about nothing.
Right.
But
that's wild.
It is kind of funny.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
No, it's wild. And I had no idea that would still be considered a live ball.
Right. You would think once it just hits the ground, it's not considered.
Yeah, but I understand why it's still considered live because the offensive team cannot advance a blocked field goal. So technically, it's still a field goal attempt, right? Because if they touch it, it's just dead ball.
And it went through the uprights.
And it did go through the uprights,
Okay.
right? So yeah, pretty interesting. But yeah, hopefully Texas beats Ohio State.
Let's hope.
Fuck it. I want to see Penn State, Ohio State.
Oh my God.
Let's just win it, man.
That would be wild.
Let's just fucking win it. You think? No, never mind. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's get to this PGT tour. So we kind of briefed you guys on Landon's second place finish yesterday. That's good enough to put him in the top 3 now for the Poker Go Tour Dream Seat. And for anybody who's unfamiliar with what the Dream Seat Invitational is, or sorry, not the Dream Seat Invitational, the $1 Million Championship free roll, the top 40 finishers in the PGT or Poker Go Tour points get to play a free roll with $1 million prize pool. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's $500,000 to first. I'll check the structure sheet really quickly here. So let's see. Payouts are, where are we at? These are starting stacks. Then here we go. Championship payouts. Okay, so it is interesting. Oh, this is so smart.
Go on.
They're so smart, man.
Tell the rest of us what you're thinking.
I'm just doing some math real quick.
Okay.
7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, they're so smart. They're so smart. So the winner, they get half the prize pool, $500K.
Okay.
Second place gets $200K. Third, $120K, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. However, not all real dollars.
Okay.
First only takes home $150K in cash.
Oh. And they get buy-ins.
$350K in Poker Go tournament buy-ins for the next season.
Okay.
So of the $1 million that is put in the prize pool, it looks as though, let's see, 490, 570, 620, 666, about 70% of that money goes back to Poker Go buy-ins.
That is smart.
That's so smart.
Yeah. God
damn, they're smart. I don't think this used to be, I don't think this is always the case. I think it used to just be cash.
Right.
But in any event, so the top 40 point getters for the year have an automatic bid, and they get different starting stacks based off of where their points standings are. So right now, the top 5 point getters are Osmus Negreanu, Seth Davies, Michael Rocco, and Jesse Lonis. The WSOP has massive influence over this. Like Jonathan Tamayo's 6th in points, but he actually doesn't get to play, I don't think, because you need a minimum of 3 cashes, and he only has 2.
Oh.
So
it's kind of brutal.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's here or not playing these last chance events.
He probably should.
He probably should have been. My guess is that he's not.
Maybe
though.
he just doesn't
probably
care.
just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, I was like, he doesn't
10 million
care.
richer.
Yeah.
So some of these guys in the top 40 actually won't make it because they don't have enough cashes or they're not eligible. I think like Andreas Gonzalez is 28th. He only has 1 cash for 2 million. Must have been a WSOP event. Malo Latinos 31, 1 cash. So you'll see people outside of the top 40 that will sneak in, but additional to that, they take an extra 9 players. And the way that breaks down is the top 3 point getters of this Poker Go Last Chance series, which is 7 10K events. Today is event 6, tomorrow's event 7. The top 3 point getters, which Landon is currently in 3rd, get an automatic bid into the invitational. Additionally, the next 6, or no, it's more than 6. I'm not sure how many they take. But anyway, additionally, the remaining however many point getters get to play in a Dream Seat Invitational, which is happening in 2 days, I believe. Let's see. Dream Seat Invitational, January 9th. So yeah, 2 days from now. Is that right? Yeah, Thursday. So the Dream Seat Invitational, this is the opportunity to win your way now into the free roll. And it looks like they take... How many people make this? So they award the final 6 dream seats into the PGT Championship via this free roll. So they play down to 6. But I can't tell how you qualify for this. But I do know that on their site currently, they have Victoria amongst others as being in position to make it. So I imagine it's, again, like point totals. Right. But it might be people who are like outside the top 40 also maybe get to play in this invitational. Anyway, when it's all said and done, an additional 9 seats are taken. Currently, Landon's qualifying with his second place finish yesterday. He has 2 more events today and tomorrow to shore up that qualification. Not sure what it'll take for him to lock it up. I imagine just like he needs people who are already in the top 40 to just keep winning. Yeah. Because they don't matter. And I don't know, like they don't do a great job of publishing stuff. No offense. Get on it, PokerGo. Like their Twitter is actually much better than their website. But in any event, like, you know, we kind of talked about this off air. It's a nice give back, I would say, to their loyal customer. Sure. You know what it is? I'm dating myself a bit here, but this is kind of what Epic Poker League, Annie Duke's invention back in the early 2010s. This is kind of that vision brought to life in a meaningful way. Yeah. They did something very similar where I can't remember what the buy-in levels were. I know it was minimum 10K, but they might have gone so much as like 25Ks back then. I can't recall. But they had a feeder system where, so to be in the Epic Poker League, you had to qualify through some, you know, point total. I don't know if they used what would be the equivalent of the Hendon Mob now or what, but you know, guys like Mercier, Chino, the guys that were blazing through tournaments back then, they were all in the league and they could just direct buy-in. But then outside of that, they would run satellites to every one of these Epic Poker League events, and they would take the top X percent. I remember they were like a $1,600 buy-in. You could basically satellite your way in. Once all that was said and done, money was taken out of every prize pool to withhold for this $1 million invitational at the end of the season. And the top point getters would get to play for this $1 million, which obviously just never happened. And that's where the rug came in. Yeah. There was no $1 million, Brian. No. It was just additional rake when it was all said and done. Yes. And it's kind of funny that more wasn't made of. I mean, it's just blatant theft when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, they said that they were setting that money aside, and they just never did.
Very Full Tilt-esque, you know. Runs in the Letterer family,
I guess.
I would say. But yeah, maybe it was just like too early. It might have been like pre-Twitter. I don't think it was pre-Twitter though, but it was like early days of Twitter maybe.
Twitter's been around longer than people think.
2012 maybe?
No, like 2008.
Really?
2007 maybe. Yeah.
I don't think I was tweeting yet.
No. Most of us didn't really get on until like post 2010, 20.
Yeah, when Facebook stopped being cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But yeah, so PokerGo, I think, kind of revamped that vision and has done a pretty good job. The original PGT PokerGo Tour, if I recall correctly, the leaderboard only took in qualifying PokerGo events initially. And then it was just too insulated because it was just like, if you played PokerGo events, you made the free roll at the end of the year, which was nice. I mean, I think the first year was like a huge free roll. It was way more than $1 million. It was $1 million to first, I think. So it might have been a couple million in the prize pool, or maybe it was winner take all. I don't really recall. But since they've become a lot more inclusive, so now it's like any events over 3,500 will, you know, garner you some points throughout the course of the year. And, you know, like I said, the WSOP has massive influence over the top 40. But this is a nice give back, and it's even better for their growth. Like, pretty smart to distribute the prize pool 70-30. Yeah. Where it's like, here's a little cash for your time, but also like, we'll see you next year. It's a big opportunity, I think, for young and up and comers who may otherwise like not play much in the way of high rollers. Like imagine winning this thing where your ABI is like 5K.
Now you get 350,000 just to throw around.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
It's real nice.
I don't know. I assume that only qualifies for studio events. I would imagine. But maybe there's exceptions for like WSOP because at least in the past there was a very close relationship between PokerGo and WSOP.
Yeah.
Like
maybe.
I thought the 250K high roller was a PokerGo tour event.
What if it was like any tournament that PokerGo is producing?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I thought the 250K bracelet event at the World Series was a PokerGo tour event, but I might be wrong. But imagine that it is. And now you just fire that. You know, you sell appropriately, of course,
right.
and you make money that way.
Yeah.
But like, imagine you just decide, like, you know what? There's way more value in this single 250K than there is in me playing a dozen 25Ks.
Might be.
Let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just rock and fire, baby.
Put all your eggs in one basket, baby.
Why not?
Hey. Sounds like a very Berkey thing to do.
Yeah. You get to keep like half of yourself in an event you otherwise would never play. Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah. Plus you get to make a bunch of money. I mean, you'd sell for probably all of them, but like no matter what, maybe you sell half, like you said, and
yeah.
you get
those are interesting propositions when you're a professional, right? Because it's like if you're being strict to your bankroll regulations and whatnot, let's say that, you know, winning this event allowed you to bump up to a $7,500 ABI. If you're being strict, you sell down to somewhere around 7,500.
Right.
You know, maybe you take a little bit of a gamble and you keep like double that and you have 15K exposure.
right.
But like, you know, maybe you just keep half.
7,500, 125K. I mean, what's 113,000?
It was
115,000 among friends.
It was free money,
Yeah.
you know, untaxable earnings. Sometimes you just roll with it. Why not? Like what?
Untaxable.
Well, they're buy-ins.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Right.
Yeah, like, and imagine you just win it for $5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have $2.5 million.
Yeah.
It's a lot of. Maybe you don't sell any of it.
It is funny. Like, how do taxes work? Like, if you won buy-ins, do you have to pay taxes on those?
I don't think so.
But
I don't think so because
they have a value to them.
Yeah,
It's
but
it's like unrealized gains, right?
yeah,
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
there's
maybe.
never an exchange,
Right.
right? You just have a credit at PokerGo.
Yeah, that's true. Gotcha.
You have a tab.
Yeah.
You gonna tax my tab? You want to tax tabs? Like, let's go. Let's talk shop. What do I get to write off?
Right.
When can I claim Conrad as
Yeah.
a dependent?
You haven't already?
I don't think they allow that. I would love to though. Yeah, so pretty exciting stuff. We'll get to sweat this out the last couple of days. Hopefully, Landon makes another deep run.
Yeah.
I was
It's all
really
said
happy
and
to
done.
see it on YouTube yesterday. I thought you would need to watch it on the PokerGo account, and apparently it was free.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good about putting out
A lot of free
stuff that, especially like this, that promotes. But honestly, like, I'm not sure what their motto is moving forward, but I really feel like anything that they do as a live stream should just be on YouTube. And then if they're going to produce it on the back end, put it on PokerGo. But I don't know. I'm so off the subscription
I was
model.
gonna say you're very like anti behind the paywall stance right now. So it's good. You know, more free shit for people.
Yeah, I think we've been doing it wrong. I don't think that there's room to do paywall stuff in such small communities.
It's tough. Really tough.
Just anything subscription based in communities this small, it's like really difficult to scale to any level of critical mass.
right.
But like other industries are sick. Like what influencers get to do in other industries is just absolutely wild. I know like some people who are like traders and they're influencers in that space, and they just, you know, do a single subscription or whatever. 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 3K subscribers.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like that's probably on the low end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, I don't know. Like we can do that for free. You know, when you look at the biggest influencers in our space, what they're able to do for free. A guy like Brad Owen's able to find 750 subscribers. Wolfgang has over 1 million, stuff like that. But they're such casual watchers.
Right.
The amount of that audience that you could actually monetize, sub 1%, I would guess.
I wonder how many have a subscription to their site or to their channel. A membership, I should say. Subscribe and then there's a membership.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. If
you
don't have to. You don't have to offer membership.
You don't have to, but I assume that they would.
Should.
They should.
I would. Yeah. I would gamble very hard if you set an over under at 0.5%. I would gamble very hard on the under.
Wow.
Like very, very, very confidently. Yeah. What's 1% of?
I guess it's
million?
different when you're not doing live stuff.
Right.
Because what's the point of having a membership?
No. It's actually, I think it's kind of I understand what you're saying because there's no emotes and like that's some of the low hanging fruit benefit.
Yeah.
But like you could you can create a whole sub content level for just members.
Where they only get
members only content.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
They're getting. One of the main perks is you would give them early access.
Yes.
But then additionally, you would give them just like behind the scenes and like a bunch of content that no one else would give.
Right.
So like if Brad Owen ever decided he wanted to like coach, you know, rather than starting a training site or doing videos for someone else's training site, he would just create a members only section to YouTube.
Yeah.
The problem is though, and why this is so disincentivized, is that YouTube takes a 30% haircut.
Chunk, right.
Yeah, so it's like even if you crush it, you're just paying a 30% tax right out of the gate.
But you know, there's also benefits of doing it that way, where you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay like another platform to have your stuff on. You don't have to.
You would happily
there.
do that. You would happily do all those things.
No, right.
Because it's cheaper.
It is cheaper for sure.
It's why people utilize YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and all that other stuff as funnels to like OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Like you're much happier paying whatever the OnlyFans tax is, which I assume is very low as a content creator, rather than not saying that you'd otherwise be able to put your content on these other channels.
Yeah.
But I think if all things were equal, where like let's say tomorrow there were no rules and you could just like, you know, YouTube could be Pornhub to you or whatever.
The bigger your channel, the more subscribers, the more members you have, then the more incentivized you'd be to do it separate than YouTube. If you had like a small community,
I think both
then it would
true.
Be well, because you have a lot of fixed costs, right? With having your own site and having paying the platform, such as like Uscreen or something like that.
Yeah, but it could never exceed the 30%. Like think about what we pay monthly for Solve for Why.
Right.
Right. It can't ever be. It can't ever exceed the cost of what YouTube would be taking.
I mean, it depends. If you only have a couple of subscribers, like
right, but then you're just not making money anyway,
right?
And it doesn't really matter. So yeah, sure. If you want to do it in a way where it's like I'm just turning a button on, and if people want to donate to me, then I'll pay the fee to YouTube. But I think in general, I think a lot of these platforms are pretty predatory. That was kind of the demise of Twitch. They just got like way too greedy when it came to taking like money off the top from their creators.
Well, it's like the apps too, right? Like Apple, like if you sign up for Why through the app, they get a percentage. Like, would rather you sign up through the website. Yeah,
the hosting cost is or not the hosting cost, but like the listing cost of being in the store. Mm-hmm. It's something dumb. It's like I can't remember what the actual percentage is, but it's large enough where it's like, do we want to have an app?
Yeah.
For some reason, like $3 sticks out in my mind, but that's not accurate for like heavy subscription based stuff. I think that $3 is like the base of what they take.
They take a percentage of every subscription that's signed up through the app.
Yeah. I think it's like 10 or 12% or something stupid.
A lot.
Tough sledding out there. Since we're talking about business, let's we can wrap on this one regarding Octopi and an interview that Victoria did with Poker.org. So this was kind of an interesting I guess, an interesting turn of events. We didn't really talk too much about it when it happened because, I mean, it's just kind of like, you know, business stuff shaking out in the public, and you just let it be. It's just like what it is. But Poker wrote an article titled "Change Was Badly Needed," in quotes. Why did Lucky Chewy leave Octopi Poker? And I think Victoria took a lot of issue with specifically that title, amongst other things. And they, you know, tagged her saying Victoria reveals why Andrew Lichtenberger and other founders have stepped down from Octopi. Now, reading the article through is very accurate. It was an interview that Victoria had done with Craig Tapscott. I think it was like more of a podcast audio style interview that they extracted some quotes from and things of that nature. But, you know, the title is very clickbaity, right? Like it's very much, oh, there's tea, you know,
Yeah.
let's kind of dig in. And to be fair, the way it shook out publicly, it did appear that there was some dissension and a lot of tea to uncover, right? It was out of the stone blue, Victoria putting out a tweet one day saying like, you know, I'm stepping down from Octopi, leaving it in the hands. So actually, I have it right here from the article. I'll send it to you, Guap. She says, the time has come to part ways with Octopi Poker. Whoops. Hang on a sec. Let me send this. Okay. The time has come for me to part ways with Octopi Poker. I wish the company's leadership, Lucky Chewy, Stevie, Johan, and Max Gorbanov, and others much success. I'm excited to see where they take the company. As for me, it's time to return to a long-planned retirement from tech and focus on my biggest current passion, the wonderful game of poker, and see how far I can take it. So that was October 27th in 2024. Not long after, so this follow-up was November 18th, so maybe 3 weeks later, I guess. Victoria put out a very lengthy tweet. Says, in the last few weeks, Octopi leadership found themselves deep in the debate about the path forward. After much deliberation, it was decided that I will step up to lead the company as a CEO, along with Stephen Chidwick as an ambassador, Johan Schultz as chief product officer, and Max as CTO. Lucky Chewy will forever remain the co-founder and friend of the company as he chooses to leave the company to focus on his own journey. While such moments of redefinition and clarity are always difficult, they're always necessary in business and in life. I'm equal parts humbled and honored and inspired to lead our incredibly talented team, growing user community on the creative journey to build the future of poker tools that are accessible as they are insightful and joyful to use as we seek to unlock the secrets of the game we so much love. Can't write this note without expressing deep personal gratitude to Lucky Chewy. He has been my mentor, inspiration, partner, and best friend for the last 3 years along my journey of discovering the magical world of poker and my place in it. I'll cherish our collaboration for the rest of my life. So huge 180 from where they had been 3 weeks ago. And there was never really much follow-up. Like, you know, Chewy quote tweeted it and basically said, thanks for the kind words. It's been an unforgettable and life-changing experience to be a part of Octopi. Also grateful that you were willing to take a chance with me and embark upon this journey. I wish you and the rest of the team nothing but the best and remain a friend of the company. Also want to thank the community and all of our supporters. It was not always easy, and it was very encouraging to have had people rooting for my/our success. Best wishes. So, you know, amicable split.
Amicable, yeah.
Yeah, this look, people don't understand how dirty you have to get your hands when it comes to building a business. This stuff is super common. We founded Solve for Why with 3 founders. I'm the lone one remaining. 2 additional founders but 2 additional partners had come in Andre and Landon. And even now, they've taken a huge step back. Like, this is just the nature of it. When it comes to the nitty gritty, like, it's very, very easy to be propositioned on an idea, be kind of like pitched a vision that you feel like you would like to be a part of and contribute to, and then get your, like, you know, working orders day after day and understand that the nitty gritty of this is no fucking fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, really easy to come up with a mission statement and say like, oh yeah, you know, like we're gonna plug this hole in the industry, and we're gonna do it from the angle of why instead of what, and you know, we're gonna build out you know, this giant helpful community, blah blah blah, and you know, I believe in your skill set in this and this area, and you know, this person is going to contribute in this and this area, and like together we're going to be a super success. And it's like, that's easy to rally the troops behind. By the time you get into like, you know, month 6, year 1, year 4, and it's a slow moving process, and you're like, yo, where's my cash out? Like, I'm a couple thousand hours into this. Why haven't we exited for the 8 figures that I thought this thing was going to grow into? It's like, because that's not how this works.
Right. Yeah.
You know, if you were lucky enough to build a 7 or 8 figure business, that tends to take place over the course of decades. It's rare unless you're, you know, I think people got very spoiled by the tech boom, right? The tech bros that were out there flaunting on social media, the guys that ultimately became the Peter Thiels and the Elon Musk of the world that founded PayPal and other big ventures, the Tim Ferrisses of the world that are now influencers and have had wild success as VCs. Like, I think that they've put this notion into people's brains that if you have an idea that you think would pass on Shark Tank, you too can exit for 7 or 8 figures in no time. And nobody sees
the hard work,
what's going on under the hood, and how much time and dedication and how many hats each individual is going to be asked to wear throughout the process of building something that can actually stand the test of time and that can actually be, you know, monumentally impactful in the consumer space. So this is like a non-story to me personally. Like, as somebody who's built a business, as somebody who's parted ways with partners, like, yeah, man, people agree to things that ultimately become way too fucking daunting somewhere down the line and say, I don't want to do this anymore.
It sounds like people's fitness journeys. You know, it's real easy to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to lose X amount of weight. I want to get to this body fat. And, you know, it sounds great. And then 3 months in, you know, when you've only lost 4 pounds and you're still putting in the work and nothing's really coming of it. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of full circle to what I was saying about like people not understanding or not acknowledging that there's a winner and a loser of every hand, and nobody seems to want to sign up to be the loser of the hand, right? It's like the expectation setting is so misguided and miscalibrated that people have like a very faulty North Star. Like in poker, they believe their North Star to be that I'm going to win more than my fair share. And it's like, well, why? What the fuck did you do that allows you to believe that you're going to win more than your fair share? How good are you? You know, if we stack you up and actually rate your play, what about your play allows you to actually have an edge? Can you define that to me? Most people cannot, right? Most people are just like riding the dragon of variance that dictates you're going to win a bunch of hands and you're going to lose a bunch of hands. And when you're upswinging, it's going to feel really fucking good. And when you're downswinging, it's going to feel really fucking bad. But guess what? You don't have an edge. So you're just a victim to your distribution. Like, yes, you're making decisions. And yes, there's a dollar amount attached to each one. But when you pull all that data together and you look at the aggregate dollar amount that you are earning or losing per decision, it's going to be slightly positive or slightly negative for most everyone. The top 20%, maybe top 10%, something like that, will be making substantially positive decisions over the aggregate. And the bottom 10 or 20% will be making substantially negative decisions on the aggregate. But everybody else is going to fall into the wash.
Right.
Same exact thing whenever you're like setting expectation for a long view of building a company. It's like, okay, well, my role here is going to be chief financial officer. Okay, well, that means I'm going to be in charge of the books, the payroll, you know, managing individuals. I'm going to have to hire and fire. And my expectation is that if I do this really well, the company will grow 10x in my tenure. It's like, okay, well, what if your tenure needs to be 25 years in order for it to actually 10x?
Right.
Right. And people get so spoiled by the growth out of the gate It's just like
always right. Yeah.
Like Guapo was saying, it's just like fitness journeys. You know, the newbie gains. If you do have a good idea, the community will latch on.
Yeah.
You know, year 1 for us, we made 60K. Well, all we did was run 2 academies. Year 2, we made 300,000. And it's like, well, we ran a half a dozen academies and we started to build an online platform. Year 3, we launched the online platform. We make $500,000. It's like, oh man, this is fucking great. The trajectory is straight up. It's like, well, let me tell you how this all works out. What's your next big idea? Oh, you don't have one? You're just now running these things at maintenance? You're going to flatten.
Right.
Oh, now what happens when a pandemic hits? You're going to flatten or you're going to decline, right? There's going to be a bunch of hurdles and a lot of need for innovation and all this other stuff. The market's going to move, right? It's going to change.
It's never up only.
No, of course not. GTO Wizard's going to become a thing, right? So all of these hurdles are going to present themselves, and it's only the people that are a part of the actual bigger picture vision that are dedicated to that because they believe in the vision. They have the ability to adjust. They're versatile enough, and generally that's only going to be at the founder level, right? What's abundantly clear by like this communication and the way that people have come and gone and things of that nature is like the vision is Victoria's, and it always has been and always will be, right? Like Octopi is her baby. She's overseeing all this stuff. Everybody else will take on roles. You know, at one point Chewy was the CEO. At one point Schulman was an ambassador. Currently and previously Johan was the chief product officer, and he'll always have that lane. But at the end of it all, it's her vision, right? So the pivots that take place may catch others off guard. It may not align with where they see things moving into the future, or it just may not interest them the way that the initial vision had, right? And she's not wrong for seeing that pivots need to be made. She's not wrong for holding a loose vision but not being able to nail down specifics. And they're not wrong for feeling uncomfortable, just blindly trusting or whatever. And I'm extrapolating a lot just from her quotes from the article that I read. You know, I don't want to get too much into it, but you know, one of the bold face quotes that come out is a lot of these departures have to do with the fact that people couldn't accurately predict the scale of commitment, right? That's a huge aspect to not just growing a business, but also vision's constantly changing. And, you know, the people, when you look at like the C-suite of a company, the people that aren't the founder, the specific, whatever title you want to give Victoria, everybody beneath her, they have a lot of scrambling to do, right? Like when she wakes up with an idea, and I'm sure that Poker goes very similar to this with like Carrie and then everybody else, right? Maury's the president. Sure, he's handling day-to-day operations and everything else. But when Carrie wakes up and he goes, you know what, I have an idea and I want to execute on it immediately. That's a mess for fucking Maury. Because now not only does he have to figure out like what the vision for all this is, how to execute on this idea, but now he has to downstream everything and say like, okay, like what department do I flush this through? Do I actually have enough resources to do this? Are we going to need to raise capital? Are we going to need to hire more people? Like all of this is just project managing, right? And it's never ending. It's continuous. And on top of that, it's like everybody who is a part of this company is a poker player. Even Victoria, it's like they're all putting in hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours on the felt additionally. It's a really fucking tall order. It's a tall order to be able to do any of this stuff. So, you know, big picture, when it's all said and done, I don't think there's a whole lot of tea to extrapolate from this, but what I did find interesting was Victoria's pushback on PokerGo's decision to release their article as they did. She said, she quote tweeted their tweet, which said, you know, Victoria reveals why Lucky Chewy and other founders have stepped down. And she said, terrible take, PokerOrg. You created clickbaits out of discussion about other things, taking comments out of context and inverting the spirit of the conversation. I do not approve of this interview, which I just saw for the first time while playing a PokerGo 10K. I will review and respond in more details after the event. Meanwhile, I'd ask that you take it down. So from your perspective, what do you guys think of that sort of request or that sort of pushback?
I'll take a shot first.
Yeah.
I mean, she did this interview, right? And it was on video, so I don't know that it's really hard to mince words if you watch the video. I think what she has a problem with is the way that they tweeted, and perhaps making it sound a little clickbaity as if some tea was spilled. I think she can ask for that to be changed, but as far as them taking down their content, I don't know. I feel like she signed up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Guapo. It's kind of like you can't. I mean, they, Poker.org has the right to say what they feel and what they think, in regards to the situation. So, yeah, I don't think. I mean, she can make the request, but like, they don't have to do anything that they don't want to do.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because relationships are so important when it comes to like media and all of the inner workings of the community. So from Poker.org's perspective, it's like, well, they don't want to burn this bridge. And that should be really important. However, they're kind of being accused of doing something nefarious here, which very likely was not the case. Now we can debate for hours on whether or not clickbait titles are reasonable or ethical or anything under the sun. But outside of the verbiage used for the title, I don't think they did anything dishonest here. Like the addendum to the tweet saying Victoria reveals why Lucky Chew and other founders have stepped down. That's not even clickbaity. That's just what happened in the interview. And that part, I think I disagree with Victoria. Perhaps she's right in the context of like she did not give an interview with the intention of it being focused on her company and why there was dissension amongst the leadership or whatever the case may be. But that was a part of the interview. That was a chunk of the interview. So that it's out there. And if after the interview you didn't say like, actually, I'd rather not publicly talk about that type of stuff. So if you guys could just strike that, I'd appreciate it, kind of thing. Then like you kind of let it live. Now, to be fair, I've been in her shoes before, and I understand the way she feels. And there have been plenty of times where like I'm very upset with the way media is spinning something about me, and it takes a lot for me not to want to just burn that bridge, because we're not emboldened to the media, right? Like we don't need to do podcasts and do interviews and say yes to everything. And that's something that took me some time to understand. There was a period of time between like 2016 and 2018, 2019 maybe, where I said yes to fucking everything. And it's like I was on dozens and dozens and dozens of podcasts reiterating the same bullshit story every single time. It's like, man, stop asking me how I got into poker. It's the same boring story as everybody else. This is not what the viewers want, I can assure you. But the bigger takeaway is not really holding their feet to the fire to do better, because I don't think that's fair necessarily. Again, we could debate the clickbait nature of the title ad nauseum. Like, if you want to take the stance of like media needs to do better with these titles, okay, fine. I think that you could take the other side and say like it drives eyes, and that's ultimately their sole purpose. So it goes both ways, right? Like people have been very upset with Doug in the past about his clickbaity titles, and he basically just said, "You clicked, didn't you?" Right? It worked.
Yeah.
Like my job is to get you to click.
Right.
So it's like, let's call that a wash. All that aside.
And that's like the nature of new media too,
yeah.
Right? Like
yeah.
you need to like have a catchy title or something that's going to get people to come to your platform and read your content. So
right.
It's like it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. So like let's call that a wash. At the end of the day, if Victoria still feels like they did wrong by her and that it was like an article written with ill intent, okay, you're not going to work with Poker.org in the future. Like that relationship is going to be a little bit tattered and a little bit strained. And that's totally understandable. And vice versa, like if I'm Poker Warrior here, I'm probably trying to mend fences in some sort of capacity, but I don't think I would take the article down. So it does become like an interesting thing because like the whole thing happened publicly to begin with. And I think that, you know, for Octopi's sake and Victoria's sake, nobody did anything with it. Like nobody really wrote any articles about it. We didn't cover it on the podcast. It didn't really generate any conversation. People just kind of accepted like, oh, this is how business is done. No big deal. Let's all move on. But because she did an interview and that subject matter was brought up, now it becomes a deeper inside look because we have a first person perspective, right? Like we have an insider's perspective, and now it becomes a lot more unfortunate because like, you know, maybe Chewy's offended by something in the article and like that wasn't Victoria's intention, and you know, there's all these layers to this, but everybody's just kind of doing their job. And I think that that's the tricky part. And I'm now coming kind of from the perspective of the media because it's like, well, we've said a lot of things on air that are maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but also truthful. And it's like, I've had to mend a lot of fences with people that I have good relationship with, and they felt like they were, you know, maybe unfairly persecuted or painted in a certain light. And it's like, well, did I say anything inaccurate? Like, no, but the way that it was framed makes it worse than you know. It's like, okay, so like we have to toe that line also and understand like at what point you're burning a bridge versus at what point you're making somebody uncomfortable versus just telling the truth, you know. And it becomes very tricky. I don't envy the jobs of any of these reporters in any capacity, especially when all we're doing is fucking scraping Twitter for something noteworthy in the space.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like, what do we talk about? Blockers?
Yeah. Steelers.
You know, you guys want to talk about blockers? Let's talk
I was
about
surprised to
blockers.
hear your game got canceled. You don't get the same trickle down as the lower stakes people when these conventions come into town, huh? Not really a
CES, no, because like people that are playing that big already make time to come out here, and CES is like super busy.
Okay.
Have you ever been?
No, but I know the games are usually pretty decent when.
No, they are.
Yeah.
They are, especially in the evening. Like CES is a big undertaking. There's, you know, this massive event center, all of these displays, endless amounts of companies that are, they're kind of, you know, projecting their futures in some sort of regard. They're unveiling new technologies, and you know, they're trying to. A lot of this convention, I believe, is just like trying to look good for investors, you know, and kind of demonstrating the process or whatever.
Sounds like big pockets.
Yeah, that part's true. But the point is that like you don't just casually come out here and like spend an hour a day. I think most people are just like there are lectures, there are presentations, like they're just on site at the convention center for most of the day. And then whenever
they're not looking to go grind 100, 200.
They miss the convention. Like we're a 10 a.m. game.
I got you.
We don't appeal to them at all in that capacity. Like I'm sure there are plenty of guys who will play those stakes, but they're going to play in the evening, probably at the Win, in games that, you know, run around 7:00. But more importantly, like you're talking about like people who have some wealth and are involved in tech and stuff like that, but are also pretty reasonable at acknowledging where their skills start and finish. So they're not like whales. It's not like the rodeo where you get like, you know,
people just firing.
Yeah, people are just like rocking. So what you'll find is that a lot of these guys will just go play like 5-10 and 10-20, and some of them will even be like winners in the game. Others will be, you know, really nice spots. But like, I don't think you pull like the VIP customer out of the CES crowd.
Right.
Gotcha.
I agree.
You know, it's like when Shamath comes to town, we don't build a game around him. You know, like if he wants to get a game together, it usually happens, but it's not like I get invited to those games because they don't have an easy time just filling a table because Shamath is here, right? Like, if I'm trying to think of like another good example. if like Rick's not even a really good example. If like Elon Musk showed up to town and he hit up Robo and he was like, "Hey, I want to play poker."
Yeah.
Robo would have no problem filling that game with like 7 recreationals. But like when Shamath comes to town and he's like, "Robo, I want to play some poker." It's like, all right, well, let me go down my list and see what pros you can approve of, because I'm only going to get like 2 or 3 recs in this particular lineup. Because like he's competent,
Right.
you know, he's not giving action. He's trying to play really good. And you know, he might not be winning much in the lineups that get curated for him, but like
Not losing much.
yeah, he's not losing much either. Yeah, if Andy Bill shows up, it's like good luck trying to get access to that game,
Right.
you know. But
Did you ever get to play with Larry Flint?
no, he didn't play No Limit. He only played like stud derivatives.
Because I know he was a big poker guy.
Yeah, him and Jerry Buss, they ran games out of Hustler, pretty big. I've heard that Ivy used to grind there a lot back in the day. Like they were playing like 100K buy-in type of stuff. But yeah, never had the pleasure. A lot of those guys just like don't like No Limit. Can't handle the swings.
That's
Even the
right.
professionals, you know, can't handle the swings.
Can't.
Cadillac of poker.
That's right. You know.
All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and join us as we get a little bit closer to the NFL playoffs and the Steeler Cope that is sure to come.
It's almost baseball season.
Not almost baseball season. All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace.
Peace.